Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and you are watching another episode of Sportsminute. So let me welcome in my special guest with me this evening, my co-hosts for this evening, none other than Mr. Big B. How you doing tonight?
Hey, doing good. Just got off an episode of In the Den with the Cougars. Check that out right before our show. Talking sports. Now I get to talk more sports with my buddies here, so can't wait.
So, James, before I jump in any further, I notice your background, and I feel like every week you have some, like you're like in a new background. I'm like, what the-
It's fun. Stay tuned for next week.
He's on location.
yeah.
Where am I?
Where are you? All
Where
right,
am-
James. How are you doing tonight, my man?
Where
What's your
in
name
the
again?
world is James today?
Yeah. Oh, I'm good. I had a long work day and hung out for a bit. And man, I must have missed so much NFL news, but I know we're going to cover it all right here, right now.
Oh yeah, we are. So to go ahead and start out with, and I know this one's a few days old, but the reason I brought this up, and it's kind of interesting, you know, we know that Derek Carr, he signed with the Saints, he got a good contract, but as a Raiders fan and like the organization and stuff, like people have to feel like this was kind of a giant middle finger, and what I mean by that is because the Saints reached out to the Raiders and said we will offer you a trade for Derek Carr, and Carr's like, nope, I will not waive it. I'm not gonna go there. And they go, okay, we'll cut you. And then he goes, you know what? I'm signing with the Saints. And he's like, screw you. I'm not giving you nothing. I'm not giving you nothing. So this was basically a giant middle finger from Derek Carr to be like, yeah, I'll sign with them, but I'll make sure you're not getting anything. And so to me, this was an interesting signing for New Orleans. Am I surprised? I'm not really surprised they went after Derek Carr. I know that they tried it with Winston. Winston wasn't the answer last year. They had Dalton. He was kind of up and down. Dalton's kind of that bridge quarterback. He is a veteran. Derek Carr's a veteran. Do I think he can potentially lead them to the playoffs? I'm not really sure because the Saints have a huge problem with cap space. They have a whole lot to clear up. So they're going to have to restructure a lot of contracts, get rid of a lot of people. Who's going to be left? I don't know. The one thing that I will say that Derek Carr going into the situation he's going into is that the Saints actually have a good defense. So I think that's one thing that he's going to benefit from. He doesn't have quite as many weapons as he did when he was with the Raiders. He does have Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. You know, Michael Thomas is he's always hurt, so he doesn't count. But basically Olave and Kamara are the guys. So to me, I'm kind of 50-50 on the signing. I'm kind of interested to see how well this goes. So Big B, I'll go ahead and I'll start with you. What does this signing do for New Orleans?
Well, hopefully they did their homework because, like I said, morning tailgate, I think I've said it here. With Derek Carr getting benched the last 2 games and he's not in the facility, kind of makes me wonder his character. And, you know, like you said, Raiders wanted to trade him to the Saints. He said, no, I'm not going there. All right, we're cutting you. Now he's signing with the Saints. So, yeah, he did not want to improve the Raiders, which, again, I can see it. Most jobs you don't want to. You hope the team or your business fumbles. But, yeah, it's a big slap for the Raiders. For the Saints, you know, Carr's probably serviceable. James, you're the Raiders fan. You might think otherwise. But, yeah, with the cap restrictions that they have, who knows what kind of team they're going to put out there. Yeah, the defense is solid. Could Derek Carr make the offense a lot better? I mean, is he better than Winston? Is he better than Dalton? To me, I think they're kind of all the same. I think Winston can run a little bit better than Carr and Dalton, but I think Carr and Dalton both have a nice gun on their, they can sling the ball around. So we'll see. I'm kind of interested with you, Ace, on how the Saints do this coming up season with this move.
All right, so James, my question for you is: since this Derek Carr signing for the Saints, do you think that now with this signing, the New Orleans Saints are now the favorite in the NFC South?
Ooh, did not even think of that.
Great
Question.
There's a lot of trash in that division. But you can definitely say, as of right now, Derek Carr is the best quarterback in that South. When you look at this, the Panthers don't have a quarterback right now. They had 4 bad ones last year. Tom Brady has retired, and you're stuck with Kyle Trask and Blaine Gabbert in Tampa Bay. In Atlanta, you have Desmond Ridder, who is unproven. They couldn't get Lamar Jackson. I guess they didn't want to do it. So right now, you can say, hey, Carr and the Saints, they're the favorite. But you have to figure this out. The Michael Thomas situation, you almost have to cut him. You just got to eat the money and cut him. Yeah, it's great what you said. They have Olave. Kamara, though, remember he has that issue with the Pro Bowl a couple of years ago where he was part of a violent situation, let's just say. And you don't know how many games he'll be available for. So I'm interested to see what the Saints do. They don't draft high. Remember, that pick went to Philadelphia. So they got to do some good scouting. But right now, with Carr and the Saints, if he doesn't implode himself like he did with the Raiders a lot of times. But granted, hey, he's going to finally play with a really good defense, like you mentioned, in New Orleans. So that's really good for Derek Carr. A lot of the pressure is off. The division is less for him going to the South. So, I'll say my take right here on the Raiders and Derek Carr. For so many years, he was slated, and then he performed poorly at times. So the blame went both ways. And I didn't blame him or felt anything bad when he set those 2 games out, when he basically said, hey, I'm done. Yeah. You're gonna sit me, and I'm trying to get this team to the playoffs with the little bit of chance they had. You're gonna sit me, and I'm gonna try to get something done. It was kind of like, a slap to the face, and he reciprocated that right back. And you have to remember this too. He visited the Saints twice. Both times he left. And you just knew he said, hey, I have control here. You gave me no trade clause, and I have the right to exercise that. I really thought he was going to be a Jet, but it could be Aaron Rodgers for all we know.
Yeah. All right. So, and that was the only reason I brought it up with the South, is because when you look at the South right now, I get that, the Saints are in kind of a cap hell mess right now. Like they're in a huge mess. They have a lot to figure out. They're going to have to release players or restructure some contracts or something. So so right now you almost have to look at, he is the best quarterback in that division currently. So because Carr signs with the Saints, you have to say that, currently right now, the New Orleans Saints are the favorites to win the South, which is kind of interesting to say because you have Derek Carr at quarterback, and you would never think that when you have Derek Carr as your quarterback that you'd be thinking to come out and say, oh, yeah, this team is the front runners in the South currently. But he is going to an easier division because when you look at the South in not South, but the West and the AFC, you had a heck of a lot more difficult division because because Denver just got Russell Wilson, and then you have Justin Herbert, you have Patrick Mahomes. So right. So you had a very, very tough division. Now he's going from the West and going to the NFC South, which is now going to be to me currently, when I'm looking at the South currently, and you can agree with me or disagree, that's fine.
Oh, we're going to disagree.
But with the way it's set up right now, the South, to me, right now is the worst division on paper.
Both Souths.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well,
No,
if you had to go one in each conference, you go both Souths.
yeah, but I don't even know if the Saints are going to be that good. Like,
Right.
so it would be hard to say
makes
that
it worse.
because I do think in the other South, I do think that Jacksonville will actually be good. So
Yeah.
so I'm not going to say that both South will be the worst, but
Jacksonville is going to be legit next year.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
they are. Jacksonville's going to be good.
I will
So,
not be making a bet with Isaiah on Jacksonville this year.
so I'm not going to say that AFC South is going to be a bad division, but I am saying that the NFC South is going to be probably the worst division in football. But
Wait, if one team is good in the division and the rest are crap, that's a bad division.
But we don't know exactly if how good Tennessee's going to be.
You can't count the Panthers out because look what they did after they traded CMC and that receiver they let go. I mean, they kind of turned it on. They made it a little scary.
And James, and I'm not going to say that the Colts are going to be a bad team. It's going to all depend. No, it's going to all depend on who they get at quarterback. Honestly, it is.
You know, they have to trade up to get C.J. Stroud or Will Levis or Anthony.
They're going to trade up. They're either going to go 1-2.
And that Richardson guy from Florida, he's getting all the hype right now in the combine, but he doesn't have the IQ though. Everybody.
Are you talking about that kid that like broke every quarterback record in that combine?
Right. Everybody's obsessed with that, but his IQ and his playbook reading, it's not there. So whomever gets him and trades up for him,
I'm drafting him if I have a legit superstar quarterback, like let's say Pat Mahomes or
remember Mahomes
or Aaron Rodgers somebody that's willing to sit down with this quarterback and say, hey, this is what we need to do to learn from. I'm not drafting. If I need a quarterback, I'm not drafting that kid from Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, which my point is, James, is that I'm not going to say that the Colts are going to be a bad team.
No.
I want to wait to see who they're going to get at quarterback. Because if they actually get a decent quarterback, I think they can be a good team. I think they're going to have a decent defense with Jonathan Taylor at running back and Michael Pittman.
I can't see it.
I do think that they can be a decent team with a good quarterback.
If they move up and get Young or Strauss like they're talking about, give them a couple years. I don't think they're going to do the Jacksonville turnaround as quick as Jacksonville did. But you put a good quarterback there, and I think you got something going.
Yeah, their defense has been injured. Remember, Shaq Leonard didn't even play last year, honestly. Jonathan Taylor got hurt, and he didn't look the same. It's not looking good.
Well, Matt Ryan last year was just atrocious anyways. So it was like that was just
a domino effect.
That was a bad trade. The Colts never should have done that trade. They never should have done that.
No.
So that was going to be bad from the get-go. And I think we all said that when the Colts traded for him. We're like, why are you trading for Matt Ryan? I
was hoping for better. I was hoping.
Yeah, but I think people knew that Matt Ryan was kind of done.
Hey, you know what though? They beat the Raiders with Jeff Saturday as head coach though.
They did.
They could put that up as a banner at Lucas Oil Stadium.
They probably did.
Yeah.
Here's Nate chiming in.
I'm glad Derek Carr didn't go to the Jets. He has a total of 11 touchdowns and under 2,200 yards and under 40-degree weather. He played.
I'm just wondering, is he a Derek Carr fan? I mean, we know Nate, but
I think he's a Bronco fan.
Oh, he's a Bronco fan. I know that, but he could be a Derek Carr fan. That's why I'm just kind of curious. Like, is he happy that he went to the Saints so he could play in domes most of the time? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a very good question. He might be a Derek Carr fan. I'm not really sure what to feel about that. But James, I kind of was with you in that situation. I honestly thought he was going to go with the Jets. I really did.
I really thought
but-
that would have worked well because he would have had a good defense. He would have had weapons. Remember, they had the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Bryce Hall would be coming back. You really have no one to threaten your position, honestly. Mike White, Joe Flacco, Zach
Well, she
Wilson.
got a hot mom.
Yeah. So I thought that would have been well, and they would have progressed even more. But now, well, maybe Rodgers. I don't know.
Right.
And
Well,
honestly, before we move on, the Jets, to me, if I'm a quarterback looking for a team, I think the Jets is very appealing.
Yeah.
I would say.
yeah, they are. So, so speaking of that, we can transition into a topic that you kind of mentioned there, Big B. Speaking about that, is that transitioning into it? We can talk because I'm wearing a sweatshirt right now, but transitioning, we can even say that potentially, we know that the Jets
okay.
were flying. That the Jets were flying to Green Bay to meet with Aaron Rodgers. They were flying there to meet with him, and so and before that, there was nobody knew if Rodgers was retiring. Nobody knew if Rodgers was coming back, and all of a sudden, all this news broke that he met with he was in conversations with the Jets, and then the Jets were flying there to meet with him. And so to me, this is actually kind of an ideal situation for him because he would have weapons in New York and then actually actually have a good defense. And so maybe, just maybe this is why the Jets did not pull the trigger on Derek Carr. That's my thinking. Maybe that's why the Jets kind of backed away and said, "Hey, if we have a shot to get Rodgers, we need to try and get him." And so that's kind of my thinking is okay, if we got a shot, we're going after him. So I think that this could be an ideal situation for him. But James, I'll start with you on this one. Do you think that this is where Rodgers actually goes?
You really don't know. And we've been through this for how many off seasons now? 3, right? Yeah. You really don't know what the next move is, and I think it's all on the Jets, honestly. Whatever they can give up to the Packers. Packers, though, and this has been the situation for these years now. Say, hey, we have to move on from him at some time. Sometime we have to move on from Rodgers. Do you just do it now and take whatever you can? At least get something back. That's all I could think of. I honestly, it'd be funny how Rodgers wait for Brett Favre to retire and go away. Then Favre was traded to the Jets. Now Rodgers is in the same boat pretty much here. If I was going, percentage-wise, I'd probably go maybe a 40% chance as of right now that he goes to the Jets.
Wow.
You just never know, honestly. I can remember the last game, Rodgers walks off in the tunnel with Cobb and, Williams asked for his jersey and he said, "Oh, no, I'm going to keep this one." So maybe you look at that to say, hey, that was maybe Rodgers' last game with the Packers. But you never know. These things go day by day. He got out of the retreat of whatever it was. Just imagine, first of all, he paid for a retreat to sit in the dark when you could do that for free at the house. It's amazing to me why he did that. But I think it goes day by day. But right now, I'll give it a 40% chance he goes to the Jets. They just have to get the right thing, the right stuff from the Jets.
All right. Big B, do you think he ends up going to the Jets?
It's either Jets or retirement from everything we've said over the last couple of days. So If he was going to play, yeah, it's going to be the Jets. I'd say it's going to be about an 80% chance he's a Jet next year. I think it all comes down. I read something earlier. I'm trying to find it. That the Jets have said they've made their offer. Deals somewhat in place. They're just waiting on the okay to pull the trigger, I guess. Doesn't sound like it's too much, though, in the Packers' return. They're going to get a second this year and a first next year, I think. I don't know.
You have it backwards to be a first this year.
Is it a first? Okay. I like I said, I'm looking, but I thought one deal said second this year and a first round next year. But I could be wrong. I could misread. We all do that. But I can't see Rodgers walks away from the big contract that he has as much as he doesn't want to be in Green Bay. And Green Bay is trying to move on from him. So I say 80% he's a Jet next year.
I want to go that high. I really do. You just never know, though, with him.
And look, though, and this is a common question I get when people ask me, what do I think about it? And
you're a big Aaron Rodgers fan, so
look, I am. I'm a huge fan of him, and this is the thing. If he goes to the Jets, it's not like I'm not going to be like, hey, yeah, I'm still going to cheer for him over there.
Okay, so you're not burning his jerseys like everybody else did with Favre.
No, I would never do that. I'm not that type of fan that's going to do that. I'm not going to turn my back. If he goes to the Jets, I'm going to wish him the best. I'm going to hope he has a great season. I hope he takes him to the playoffs. But when it comes down to it, people ask me, what am I going to feel about Love? Look, my thing about Love is if you're a true fan, right, you have to give the guy a fair shot. You do. You have to give him a fair shot because you have no idea what you have in him. So you can't come out and be pissed off, be like, oh, well, this guy's going to suck. We're going to suck, blah, 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 blah. You have no idea what you have in Jordan Love.
Yep.
So as a Packer fan, I'm going to support him and I'm going to say, Love, I've got your back. And I wish Jordan Love the best. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, well, hell, then we know he wasn't a good quarterback. But still,
and that's the thing. I mean, you never know because I know a lot of Packer fans when Favre left, they're like, "Oh, Rodgers is going to suck,"
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows what's going to happen? And the same thing. Not saying Jordan Love's going to turn out to be the third coming of Brett Favre because you went from Brett Favre to Rodgers, which everybody would have loved to have done in the NFL. And now what's the likelihood of you striking twice on a goal line and a quarterback? Slim to none, but if it happens, it happens.
This is the thing though. Like this is the thing I tell fans all the time. You cannot when you're going from a Hall of Fame quarterback. So let's say he goes and plays with the Jets, right? You cannot, if you are a Packer fan, which everybody knows I am, you cannot be that type of fan that expects Jordan Love to be Aaron Rodgers. You can't do that because Jordan Love is his own guy. You have to allow Jordan Love to play his game. You have to allow Jordan Love to do what he needs to do. You cannot compare him and say, well, I expect him to be like Aaron. I expect him to be like Brett. I expect him. You can't do that. No. Jordan Love is his own guy, and you have to let him play his style of football. Yeah. And so to me, that's always been the biggest, problem that I have is that fans expect other fans or fans expect other players to be like the quarterback that was just there if they were Hall of Famers. It's like, you can't do that.
That's big shoes to fill. I mean,
you can't do that. You have to, yeah.
So I found a report here from CBS. One rumored trade offer is Jets get Aaron Rodgers. Packers get a 2023 second round pick and a 2024 conditional first rounder. Which to me, I think is kind of cheap. Packers, they're gonna.
That's why I said I don't really believe that.
No, I wouldn't believe that. I mean, everybody's gonna throw out different rumors. Every site you look at is gonna have something different. Until the trade's done, the trade's done. I mean, if the Jets could get Aaron Rodgers for those two, picks, more power to them. But I think it's going to cost a lot more.
Yeah, I think it will too. And my thing is people are asking me, when are we going to know if he's coming back? And I said, this is when we're going to know. When it comes up that says, breaking news, Rodgers has been traded to the Jets. That's when we're going to know. That's when we're going to know. I don't think anything's going to be said. I think everyone's kind of sitting, everything's kind of on the down low until then.
It's so annoying. I just want a decision and move the hell on.
But the thing is it nothing better than waking up as we are trying to cover media or sports? You wake up and turn on the TV, and the first thing you see on there, or look at your phone when you look at it, breaking news, whatever happens. I mean, that is like the coolest thing to ever happen. And then you're trying to get on, contact people like, hey, we need to talk about this now,
Mm-hmm. Thing is though, I love it, and this is the reason I love it. I think deep inside, and I would do it too. If I knew it pissed people off to no end, I would do it too, just to piss them off and be like, you know what? If this pisses you off because I'm not making up my mind, fine. I'll sit here and wait, and I'll make you wait longer. Like,
got the power. I mean,
yeah, it's a simple thing. I would do it. I'd be like, fine. If it's gonna piss you off, I'll make you wait. So
it'll be broken on the Pac McAfee show.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to me as a fan, I don't make it a big deal. I'm like, this decision will come.
It's not there for me anymore. After like 2 years of this crap, it's like, oh, okay.
Well, what's funny is I'm reading the story that they're giving the timeline when the plane left New York, showed up in Green Bay, or wherever they met at. It kind of reminds me of when Favre came to Minnesota because they were like following,
they flew to Alabama.
They're like, oh, the plane left here. They went down to Alabama. They had Longwell and I think Greenway on the flight, and they left, but we didn't see who all jumped on the plane. And they get back to the airport, they see Brett Favre. They're like, oh my God, Brett Favre's here. It's just like, oh my God, So, but yeah,
right, yeah. So we can transition into our next one, which one of the bigger news, and I was actually surprised about this, but I did tell everyone that I knew that somewhere I figured that Daniel Jones was going to sign, and then that Barkley was going to get tagged. But tell me, how in the hell did Daniel Jones get that amount of money? Like I'm like, I was like, the Giants were actually willing to give him 4 years for like 160 million, and I was like, to Daniel freaking Jones. Like,
but didn't
really?
he originally ask for like 3 for 45 a year, and then that's when he fired his agent?
Like that? I don't know. It wasn't like 3 for 45. It was like,
or was it 4 for 45? It was a high amount, and the Jets said no, and he's like, okay, then I'm firing my agent, or I'll find somebody new. But you're right, Ace. I mean,
yeah, I was like, are you kidding me? So Big B, I'll start with you. Was this a wise decision by the Giants to extend Daniel Jones and give him that?
Odd. And then you take Barkley on top of that?
Yeah, and then you franchise tag Barkley. So to me, if I'm the Giants, I would be putting that money towards Barkley. Like,
yeah, it's tough because they both are key components of their offense, but again, both of them are injury prone. I mean, I couldn't tell you. I mean, outside this year, I think they played mostly together. Oh man, I'm glad I wasn't in the office there trying to make that decision, because I don't think I could. I think I would have walked out and said, "All right, you guys go. I'll go. I'll say yes to whichever you guys decide," because I can't. I don't know if I could have done both. I don't know. I think I wouldn't have let Barkley would not have walked.
Yeah, so
Jones would have been one walking. In my opinion.
So I'm saying, like, if you were that GM, would you have pulled the trigger on that contract for Daniel Jones?
No, I wouldn't even pull out a 1-year deal for $5 for Daniel Jones. I mean, even though seriousness aside, if he wasn't so injury prone, I probably would have. But you just don't know. And, at the time, you could have went out and got a car. You could have went out and got Lamar Jackson. Heck, he could have still maybe wiggled into the Packers situation with Rodgers, move up and draft a rookie quarterback, start fresh. I mean, go out and get Jimmy G along with the rookie quarterback. But I don't think I would have pulled that trigger. I don't. I would have went, like you said, even though Barkley's injured, I think I would have put more money into Barkley than I would have Jones.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, I never would have let Barkley walk. And that's the thing. Like, if I'm the Giants, I'm like, there's no way Barkley walks out this door. And I know the people before were saying, Barkley's gone. He's going to go sign here or there. And I'm like, Barkley's not going anywhere. The Giants would never allow him to walk out that door. They were not going to allow him to walk out.
If you let Barkley and Jones both walk, then you go sign Pollard.
Well, to me, I knew they were going to get one or the other, or they were going to get both, and so I knew both of them were not going to be gone, and so my guess was going to be, and I ended up getting this right. My guess was going to be that they were going to sign Jones, tag Barkley, and try and work an extension with Barkley, but I would have done it the other way around. If I was going to do anything, I would have given Barkley the contract, and if I wanted to, I would have tagged Jones. And that's how I would have went with it. But
Jones would have been, because what is it, the top 5 average salaries for 1 year?
But still, honestly, I still wouldn't want to even tag Daniel Jones. I still wouldn't want to do that.
I wouldn't take Daniel Jones. No, not top 5 salary, because that's 1 year. You're looking at probably 35, 40 plus. I mean, granted, that's what he's getting now, but
yeah,
I would have done what you said and worked out a deal with Barkley and then moved on from Jones. But if you let both walk, then I call Pollard and bring him.
Okay. So, James, let me ask you, if you were the Giants, would you have made this deal?
I agree definitely with Big B. First, if I thought there was no other better option, then I would have to do it, just because he's familiar with the team. Ryan Dable got the most out of him last year.
That is true.
And that can only get better. Remember, he was a coach of the year. So, yeah, if there was no other option that would cost more, like Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr, then I guess I would have to do it. But this is a big but, though. If I do get him, bring him back, I would put it like a Geno Smith deal, where there's a lot of incentives in it, and there's a quick cut if it doesn't work out. I heard about the Geno Smith deal, and it was really good for him, but it was also good for the team to move on in the future. So I think I would have did that with Jones, but he's still younger, of course, than Geno, so I can understand why they didn't do it. But also, you could think Deshaun Watson's contract, what Jackson is being offered, what Derek Carr got. When you think about it, all the quarterback salaries have gone up. So you can thank the agents. You can thank the market values going up for this contract to happen for Jones. So I would have done it if I'm the GM, if there's no other option that is better. And he's just going to have to continue to get better and better. And what's good, though, maybe they can go out, they can get receivers for him. Remember, last year, Jones worked with, a bunch of no-name receivers, and they made it in the playoffs and won a game. So it can only get better from here. It shows that they have confidence in Jones. So, yeah, I think if you're GM, you had to do it if there's no better option.
Yeah, and so Tim Hendricks is saying Jones needed to be more Giants friendly. Keeping Barkley should have been the main priority. Yeah,
that's the difference between a running back and a quarterback, though. The shelf lives are so much different, though.
No, I get that, but your main focus should be Barkley because he's your main dude. Like,
but he's not going to be around longer than Jones is in the future. That's what I'm saying. That's what their thought process is.
well, no, which I completely understand that, but to me, I'm not a big fan of Jones, so that's why I'm saying I wouldn't have done it because I'm not a big fan. Like, I would have looked around and been like, who could I potentially get besides Jones? So to me, I'm not completely sold that I like. I don't necessarily like this if I'm the Giants. And I know that Giants fans said that they're okay with it, they approve of it, and that's fine. If you're a Giants fan and you like it, hey, so be it. That is completely, your choice, and I'm glad that you like it. But speaking of franchise tags again, that kind of transition us into the whole Lamar Jackson thing. So so the Lamar Jackson deal. So understand that Lamar Jackson actually can still talk with other teams, and other teams can offer him a contract, and therefore Baltimore then has the option whether they want to basically match that contract. So it's going to be interesting to see what Lamar Jackson gets offered from other teams. So, Big B, I'll start with you, and you tell me, does this kind of surprise you that the Ravens didn't just flat out just tag Lamar to where he can't talk to other teams?
No, because they probably were thinking the same way that I was kind of explaining with Daniel Jones. What are we going to pay him? So they tagged him for the traditional or not the exclusive tag, the unexclusive one. So he can go talk to other teams. So again, they're banking on nobody being interested in Lamar Jackson so they can sign him to a lesser deal. Because again, he's another quarterback that's been hurt. When healthy, he's an MVP candidate. He's a great leader. He just doesn't have that arm strength that a lot of people are concerned about. So, and I know you guys, Ace, we've talked about it before with the Vikings back in the day. I wish the Vikings would have drafted him, and went that route. But I think they're kind of playing the guessing game or the hoping game that he doesn't get many offers from other teams that are going to bankrupt. Because I think they got their cap set. Okay, Lamar is going to get this much, and if the team offers more, he's going to walk. I think so. I think they're banking that they stay within a certain range.
Yeah, which this could fall in the positive way of the Ravens. It very well could, because if he goes out there and realizes, hey, I'm not getting offered much, then the Ravens go, hey, this fell perfectly to us.
Yep,
because
that's what they want.
Yeah, and I know that's kind of what they want. So Tim saying GM from the Ravens called other teams to see who would want Lamar, and the best choice is to give the non-exclusive. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, the GM probably did his due diligence too. But again, if I'm a GM from another team and they're calling about their player, I don't think I'd give my cap if I wanted him or not.
Exactly.
I don't think I'd tip my head. I'd be like, no, we're not interested, and then
exactly
kind of play about it. So
yeah, I would have done that too. I would have been like, nope, I don't want him. And then
so right now it's from I forgot what website I'm about, sporttracker.com. Lamar's at $32 million right now. So so we'll see where it goes. I mean, so they're looking I would guess they're looking in between 40 about 40 45 million is probably their safety net for Lamar. Because he's what, 29 still? I mean, so
he's still young. Yeah, he's still young.
Yeah, he stays healthy. I mean, but again, I don't think he could get tagged next year. So if he doesn't sign anything, I don't think they could take him next year. So they're going to lose him.
You can tag him.
I could take 2 years in a row.
You can. It's just every time you tag a person, the price tag goes up.
Okay. I thought you could take
no, you can't, because if you remember Cousins, when Cousins was in Washington, they tagged him. They tagged him the first year, and the first year they tagged him, the tag was 24 million. And then
Okay.
when they tagged him the second year, they go, if you tag him again, it went from 24 million up to 42.
God,
So it
Yeah,
almost
it was ridiculous. I know it was ridiculous.
staggering.
so it almost doubles. So you can tag him as much as you want, but the price goes up every single time you tag him.
I want to get tagged. Damn.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? So yeah, so the price just goes up every single time.
Okay.
So James, your thoughts on Lamar?
Well, we know Falcons aren't interested. Dolphins, Panthers, Washington, and the Raiders are not teams that will pursue him. I like this is a good move for the Ravens PR wise. It's almost like, hey, we'll match, but you know, if somebody says, hey, we'll give you more, like the Jets or someone else, good luck. You know, thank you for what you did with nothing, no receivers. You know, it's almost like a bet on himself move here, and I really like that. For once, there's a move like that, and you know, all the hype has been on Lamar Jackson, and now we get to see, you know, who really believes in him, who's willing to shell out so much money. But man, it's a definite risk. If you keep him with the Ravens, they're going to have to, again, go for some receivers that aren't really known or draft some, rely on the running game, which is basically Lamar and Dobbins. I just want him to go to a better situation. But hopefully if he stays with Baltimore, they can put some players around him that can make some plays, not only just him. The defense maybe can get a little better, but they're going to be cash strapped because of this if they keep him. But I like it, though. I like this move where it's like, hey, if somebody else wants you and it's over a certain limit, you know, thank you for everything and see you later. But it's awesome. I like it. It has more intrigue now.
So, Ace, you are right. It is, they could do it up to 3 times, and each time the salary goes up 20%.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Man, that's why you don't see it take twice in a row. But
Right?
man,
Yeah, and this is the thing though too. So James, like this is the one thing that I was saying too. It's like that's the one credit that I give Lamar Jackson for is like, look, I understand he doesn't have a strong arm. You know, I completely understand that. But the one thing that I give Lamar Jackson credit for is year in and year out, he's kind of been having to do kind of what Rodgers has done in the past a few times, thrown to nobody. And that's kind of what Lamar Jackson has had in Baltimore. He's had crap in Baltimore as far as the receivers. Like Baltimore hasn't gone out and done it. The only person that he really had in Baltimore to throw to was Hollywood Brown. And then Hollywood Brown got traded to the Cardinals in a shocking fashion. And I know that last year, or it wasn't last year, it was the year before, they drafted Prochet because they thought that Prochet was going to be a good receiver. He didn't pan out to do crap.
and they drafted that kid out of Minnesota a couple years ago,
Duvernay.
Johnson, I think it was,
Yeah,
who they thought was going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and they drafted Duvernay, didn't do nothing, didn't pan out to be nothing. So it's like they haven't gotten Lamar Jackson almost anything. And his running game hasn't been that great either.
Injured a lot.
Yeah, so it's basically just been him.
Mhm.
So
And the thing is you know, when we say it about a lot of players, when healthy, they're this. Every year, Lamar Jackson's in either the top 5 or top 10 in MVP preseason talk all the time. You know, and everybody says the same thing. If he stays healthy, he could be an MVP candidate. You know, so I mean, he's got the talent somewhat there if he gets, 1, stays healthy, and 2, gets weapons around him.
Somewhat. I just think like it is. I think his biggest knock is that he doesn't have a strong arm.
Yep.
and his deep ball accuracy just isn't that great.
Oh,
So
totally agree.
I think that's the biggest knock on Lamar Jackson. Other than
Could it
that,
be better if he gets better deep threats? I mean,
potentially,
know.
I
Yeah.
just haven't really seen that strong of an arm. And I know that people were kind of comparing, Lamar Jackson to Michael Vick, and the thing is though is there's a big difference between them.
Arm.
Michael Vick had a strong arm.
Vic had a very good arm.
He could freaking sling that thing.
Yeah.
And Lamar Jackson is one that just can't do it. So those are like the big differences here. Is Lamar Jackson as good of a runner? Yes, he is, but just not as strong of an arm. And so
I think a prime Vic over a prime.
Yeah. So
Hell
I'm just glad you guys agree with me that Michael Vick had a cannon because he had
my God, did he have a cannon? And the thing is, he had a cannon standing still, and he had a cannon when he was on the run.
Oh yeah. If you remember back to
we're not going to talk about against the Vikings because
everybody
has highlight reels against the Vikings. So let's just move on.
No, I was talking about the year of Madden 2004 with the character of Michael Vick.
Yeah,
like the best character to ever be on Madden ever because that dude was like virtually freaking unstoppable.
Yeah,
you cannot stop him. Which brings me up to the point of when they played Minnesota. In the overtime.
What was that? 70-yard run to end the game?
Yeah, 70-yard run to end the game.
Mm-hmm. And the thing, a quarterback like that, that's why I like those type of quarterbacks because, yes, if they get hit and bust up their legs, they're one-dimensional. But you give me a two-dimensional quarterback like Michael Vick, stop him. I mean, because you're not going to stop his passing game, you're not going to stop his run game, both in the same game, unless he gets injured.
Yeah, and that is like the big difference between Vic and Jackson. If you injure Jackson, like you take a lot of his game away if he can't run. If he can't run, Jackson's pretty much doomed. Michael Vick was that type of guy that you take his running game away, he'll still get you in the passing game. So So it was either way, Vic had you. And so,
but not the FBI.
But it's definitely going to just be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Jackson gets offered. I do think he ends up staying in Baltimore, but I do think he's going to get a few offers. I just don't think that they're going to be as much as he's thinking it's going to be.
The only team I could think that might make a move, and again, they don't have weapons, would be Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Houston.
Ooh.
And maybe the 49ers, depending on how long they think Purdy's going to be gone for.
And they have to trade Lance.
Well, yeah, Lance would, yeah.
Could you imagine a team like Miami making a move on Lamar Jackson?
I know they said they're out of it because they're sticking with Tua.
The thing is you don't want the AFC to get any better, if you're Baltimore. So Houston, I would probably let him walk because we all see Houston's a dumpster fire. Now, Miami calls and puts in an offer. I may have to go over my little cap there and be like, no, we don't want Lamar going to Miami.
Oh, no. Can you imagine that team with Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, with those weapons, I mean, again, it would come down to his arm strength. Can he get it to those receivers?
He wouldn't need to though, because if he does little dunk off, because if he does little dunk off passes to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they can take it 80 yards for a touchdown.
That is true. You are right.
So with them, he wouldn't have to have the arm strength.
Yeah.
God, I remember I wanted Watson with the Dolphins, and that didn't happen. Lamar Jackson, I wanted him to go to the Falcons, and that's not going to happen.
No.
I've been wrong all the time.
I mean, you talk about Miami, but if San Fran called for Lamar Jackson, could you see him in that offense? I mean,
still, that division is over. Forget about it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, right. All right, so transitioning kind of into our final topic here. we wanted to talk a little bit about, well, and we might be able to sneak in another topic after this, just depends. But we wanted to mention about the thing that came up about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So to me, this was huge. Like, this is something that I felt like this really was not talked about enough. And I felt like this is something that should have been just blown up on social media, internet, everything. The dude sold he sold his championship trophies. He sold his his championship rings. I mean, he sold everything. Got 2.8 like million or $1 billion for it, and gave every single thing away. Gave every single penny away. And his statement was, I don't need the money, so if I can give back, I'm going to give back. So, Big B, I know you really wanted to talk about this, so I'll give you the first crack at it. This shows true character here.
It does show true character. So one, it shows me he talked to his family first. I mean, first and foremost, because they would have got everything, and either they said, "Dad, do what you got to do," "Uncle, do what you got to do," "Son, do what you got to do," whoever, do what you got to do what you think is right. Because I mean, generations down the road are not going to know who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is unless they are a big historian. To me, the 4 championship rings, the 3 MVP trophies, and other memorabilia, as they said, $2.8 million. I'm not going to say is low, but man, for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar stuff, I think it would have won a lot more than that. But you know what? To donate everything to youth education, big props to him. To me, gives me more respect for him. I mean, even any athlete that does that, it doesn't have to be the 2.8. It could be, $500,000 for a football team to get uniforms or, stuff like that. But for him to do that with all his treasured memorabilia, his trophies, rings, I'm kind of surprised that this stuff got sold. But to me, he had to have talked to his family to see what they wanted, and they had to have been like, do what you got to do, Dad. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having it, but, if you think you got a better option for it, go ahead. So props to him. Much respect for the guy.
Can you imagine being one of the buyers on those, and somebody coming to your house and you're being like, I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's freaking NBA championship ring sitting right here in a case.
Yeah, I got his MVP trophy. I got a jersey signed. I mean, like I said, I don't want to make it sound like he didn't get fair value, but I mean that number right there to me
feels low.
Way low.
It does. It seems way low on all of his stuff.
Way low. I'm sorry, but more props to the people that he donated to. Props to him for doing it. I kind of hope this opens up the gap for a lot more celebrities down the road nowadays to, okay, I don't need this. Family doesn't want it, whatever. I'm going to sell it so I can help the youth in America.
Right.
Or in the world in general. Let's
right. James,
would you imagine what Michael Jordan's stuff would sell for? I mean, I was just thinking about that right now. I'm like, oh, that would trump that easy. But I think just because he's more of a brand by himself. Mm-hmm. Kareem, of course, went with Converse all those years, and once he retired, he did stuff, but then he was out of the spotlight more and more, just in films and reading books, making books and all that. But this is another game-winning skyhook for him, which he's done all of his life through, on off the court endeavors. I really appreciate people who do this.
Yep.
Another idol that I had and still have was Vin Scully, and he had 67 years of memorabilia, rings from Brooklyn, from the LA Dodgers championships, all sorts of stuff, and he did this auctioned off for charity. God rest his soul, but it didn't surprise me when he did that because he found a cause for him to do that. And Kareem, knowing that education is really big with him, it's been big with him for a long time. It didn't surprise me when I heard this. It just makes me respect him even more. Again, the stuff he's done off the court is awesome. And of course, on the court, you only know him for the skyhook, but there's so much more about him you can see. And I heard what you said, 4 rings he sold. So he's hanging on to 3, I guess, because he won 7. And then remember, he won all those
He's
championships.
holding on 2 of them, they're saying.
Yeah, I would guess the first one in LA and the first one with Milwaukee, or the only one in Milwaukee. And then I'm trying to figure out if he sold any UCLA stuff because, he won all those years with John Wooden, all those great years. And I'll be interested to see what else he sold. Uniforms and game shorts and goggles. You imagine how much goggles would be, and so just shows you how much of a man he really is.
So looking at some of the stuff that he sold about 234 items, they said. A signed basketball from his last game in '89.
Wow.
His rings started bidding 4 of the 5 highest sales. His 87 ring went for the most. And then he also sold his 85 ring and 2 other rings from 80 and 88.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So he kept the Milwaukee one and the last one in '88.
Yeah. They don't say what if he sold anything from UCLA or anything, but
wow. But if he sold 200 and some items, explain to me how it only went for $2.8 million.
I think the generation now
doesn't understand who he was, really.
Right. I think that's why. I really think that's why. And that's a sad thing. But like I mentioned, though, I think people nowadays are more enamored with, one brand, right? Jordan or LeBron brand or something like that. But they don't realize the people that are slightly under whatever was good. And this goes back to when everybody ranks, who's the great players of all time and all that is. Everybody forgets about Kareem. They always go quickly to, Michael Jordan, LeBron James,
Will Chamberlain.
All right. So the 87 ring went for just under $400 million. His 85 ring went for $300,407, and the 2 other rings in 80 and 88 went for $245,000 each. The signed basketball went for $270,000. So that just tells you right there, like you guys were saying, that the generation now doesn't know him that well.
And I wonder if there's one man that has all this Laker memorabilia all over his house, and he has like shoes and uniforms and all. I wonder how much he got from the Laker stuff.
Right.
I was trying to see if they said anybody who bought it, but yeah, I'm not finding anything.
All right. Well, we're at that hour mark now, so Big B, we'll go ahead and start with you and kind of give us your final thoughts for the evening.
A topic we'll probably bring up next week is something I shared. I was hoping to have time for, but people, if you're making your GOAT list on whatever sport it is, somebody asks you why you didn't add this person. A simple answer, outside of because I don't like him or I don't think he's good enough, be better, because there was a GOAT list that we came up. I shared it, and I think it's a joke. So we'll possibly break that down next week.
All right.
But thanks for everybody for joining.
All right, James.
Tune into more Coast to Coast programming all week long. We got some rain coming into Southern California, so I'm all days. I'm gonna stay home. I won't be watching the XFL, but I will be watching the World Baseball Classic, which started off yesterday, and teams are playing each other and then playing other spring training teams. So I'm gonna be interested in that. But again, check out Coast to Coast. There's content all week long and on the weekend as well. Take care, folks.
All right. Yep. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's been another great episode of Sports Minute. We'll have a lot of awesome topics for you coming next week. So with that, everyone, have a fantastic night, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night.
Peace.